Hello there and welcome. I'm Kate Kunkel. I'm the creator of Brain Health Matters, a series of educational events, courses, and programs all designed to help you improve your health for a happier, healthier brain. Today, we're going to be talking about memory. I did a video a couple of weeks ago showing you how memory works. Today, we're going to talk about what is acceptable and is not acceptable when we're thinking about aging and memory loss. Enjoy. This is my second presentation on memory. And here we'll be talking about some of the risk factors that impact our brain health and our memories and ways to counteract them. A couple of weeks ago, I did a memory presentation and explained how memories are created and stored in the brain. If you haven't seen that yet, check out the link in the notes below. Now, you may remember that I mentioned the hippocampus. It's called that because that word means seahorse in Greek, and this looks kind of like a seahorse. There's actually one on each side of the brain. The two of them together are called the hippocampus. It's involved in getting memory into long-term storage. But if you damage it, not only do you not remember things well, you can't learn new things. It's also involved with your mood and with knowing where you are in space and time. But the hippocampus, in fact, the whole brain, is susceptible to damage from many things, including toxins, a bad diet, trauma, and a lack of stimulation. So we must protect it because having a healthy brain is about much more than just having a good memory or being able to learn new things. See these two different brains? This one on the left is smooth. There's ample blood flow and activity all over. A person with a brain like this is more likely to be happy and healthy and able to get on with others. People with the brains like this one on the right, well, they're probably sadder, sicker, less successful, and have more conflict in their relationships. But many people don't really care or even think about their brains because you can't see them, right? We don't think about them until something like this happens. This brain on the right is being destroyed by Alzheimer's. By the way, that damage isn't holes in the brain. That is a SPECT scan, and it simply means that there is not blood flow getting to that part of the brain. So it's showing as holes or blood flow, or there's no activity going on there. But this damage, what you're seeing here, this starts long before any symptoms show up. It can start 20 to 30 years before you have any clue what's happening. Then it is hard to reverse. So you have to be proactive. It's important to understand what can make your brain look like this. Now, this particular man had a traumatic brain injury, and that brain injury went undiagnosed for years. So he had huge anger problems. There was abuse in the marriage. But even with a brain like that, from trauma, he was able to reverse much of the damage. And this is fairly early in his treatment, so it can be done. So the good news is you're not stuck with the brain you have, but don't wait till it looks like this. You need to start now. It's never too early to look after your brain, but I know from experience that it can become too late. This is my mom. This is when she could no longer feed herself. That's me. We caught her dementia far too late. So we just really couldn't do much except make her comfortable and as happy as we could. In my Boost Your Brain and Prevent Dementia Facebook group a couple of days ago, I posed the question, what do you think is the biggest risk factor for developing dementia? And I asked that because so many people are under the impression that memory loss and other cognitive decline are a normal part of aging. But that's just not true. There is one risk factor that means we have, get this, a 50-50 chance of developing dementia. One guess was that genetics was the primary risk factor. And certainly, while having a problem with your chromosomes can result in health issues, including cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases, genetic problems are not a death sentence, and they do not guarantee that you'll get Alzheimer's. It's believed that genetics only play about a 10 to 15% role in developing Alzheimer's. So just because you have the gene, even if they come from both sides of the family, it doesn't mean you'll get Alzheimer's. On the other hand, even if you don't have it, it doesn't mean you won't get Alzheimer's. So the best defense is a strong offense. If you have a family member with Alzheimer's, considering getting a genetic check, if you do have the gene, get even more serious about your brain health. Heck, even if one of your family members has dementia of any kind, you need to be serious about your brain health. Don't engage in contact sports or other places where you can risk head trauma. Get off the SAD diet, the standard American diet. Eat good whole foods like fresh produce, including organic blueberries, and use lots of spices and herbs. Be vigilant with your brain. Nurture it, love it, care for it. Now, other folks in this survey yesterday or a couple of days ago guessed that a poor diet or obesity, one of those was the number one factor. Together, we call obesity and diabetes, and that's certainly a huge contributor to whether or not we get dementia of any kind. Because diabetes damages blood vessels. And remember those pictures I showed you before of what look like holes in the brain? That's actually blood, a lack of blood flow. So if you have damaged blood vessels, then that can lead to dementia, vascular dementia, stroke, and many more problems. But obesity is also associated with memory problems and dementia later in life. And obesity can contribute to diabetes. And the bottom line is, as weight goes up, the size and function of your brain goes down. This is researched many, many times over, so that should scare the fat off anybody. Of course, you don't want to be too skinny either. You need to have a good, healthy weight. So what can we do about this? Diabetes and obesity are both heavily influenced by, here we go again, the standard American diet. So stay away from processed foods, sugar, and anything that causes inflammation. Now, I cover that a lot in my book, Don't Let the Memories Fade, and in the Bright Minds program that I'm going to be sharing with you in a bit. So while all of these things contribute to the likelihood of developing dementia, the single biggest risk factor for developing dementia of any kind is aging. And in Bright Minds, we say retirement and aging because we have to keep our brains going. While advancing age is the single most significant risk factor for memory loss, and the likelihood of developing Alzheimer's doubles about every 5 years after age 65, it doesn't have to be that way. Even though after age 85, the risk of developing dementia is about 50-50. But it is not inevitable. I have to keep stressing that. Some people lose their memories. Some people don't. Some people slow down in their activities. Others don't. So even though we're aging, diet and exercise and genetics, sleep, how much you engage with people, all of these things play a role in what happens to your brain as you age. Look at this beautiful 92-year-old lady's brain. By keeping mentally fit, by engaging with people, by learning, you will protect your brain. Your brain is like a muscle, right? The more you use it, the more you can use it, the stronger it is. So as you age, if you're 50 now, this is the best time to start. If you're 60 now, this is the best time to start. Don't wait. You must keep learning. You must engage. You must look after your brain all of your life. So as you get older, these are things that hurt: being alone, not learning. Of course, your genetics play a role, but make new learning a part of everyday life. Take a class, get involved with your church, volunteer, do yoga and meditation, eat fresh, healthy foods, learn something new, take up a hobby, go dancing. The very excellent news is that we can reverse much of the damage from a poor diet, trauma, and even the effects of aging and genetic risk. This lady, Shailene, she has the genetic risk factor, and she was starting to have issues. There were some problems with her brain here. She's got some lack of blood flow. And if she had let it go, it would have ended up like one of those other pictures I showed you earlier of Alzheimer's. But she got to work. You can see that she was able to improve her brain, and she was already suffering some mild cognitive impairment. It can be reversed. And this is really exciting. In a study, many NFL football players who had severe head injuries, which is very common, of course, even they whose brains showed serious problems were able to improve. They went on the BRIGHTMINDS Memory Rescue Program, which I conduct, and they use supplements and the dietary and lifestyle changes, including things like meditation and continual learning and a better diet and working on getting better sleep. They were also able to improve their brains. Look at that, better memory and attention, better sleep, better mood. So I'm showing you all of this because I want you to know that even if you're suffering from memory issues or you have mild cognitive decline, you're not stuck with the brain you have. Now is the time to start taking action, not next year or when you win the lottery or when your kids leave the house. People with early to mid-stage dementia and Alzheimer's, brain damaged NFL players, and even people with brains damaged due to substance abuse or toxic exposure or injury of some kind, they have improved their brains and their memories. Look at this. Look at this. This is frontotemporal dementia. This lady's doctor had told her husband to just go and make her as comfortable as he could. That's only 10 weeks into looking after her brain. So you see, it can be done. And she was pretty far advanced. I know you can do this too. If you want to learn how, click on the link below the video or go to katekunkel.com memory-rescue. So I hope that gave you some good information that you can use. If you've been in my world a while, you know most of it, I'm sure. You know, you have to look after your diet. And there's actually no, this is the question I actually started posing in the group here, is that what level of damage or problems is acceptable and okay? None. None of us have to go through that. None of us have to lose our memories. None of us have to get lost. And none of us have to not be able to be with the people we love. Well, except for now in this period of time when you're not allowed to, but you should be able to enjoy your time with people and learn things. There's nothing normal about losing your mind. One of the things I was going to put this on the book, but I decided not to, saying losing your mind is a choice. That sounds kind of harsh, but it kind of is, because we make choices every day, right? So the trick is to make good choices. And I'm giving you a chance with this information. And if you want to get more involved, I've got the Memory Rescue Plus program starting on Monday. Sally, you are here. You are up late in South Africa. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask? I'd be happy to answer.
The only question I have is the effect of stress on memory.
Yeah, stress is a big one because it takes us away from the parasympathetic rest and relaxed state, right? It has an impact on everything from our hormones to how well we digest. And because all of those things have an effect on our brains, the stress itself is. Plus, just being in a state of stress, that being in a sympathetic nervous state, that causes our brains. I mean, you know what it's like. If you're all upset about something or you're worried about something, it's really hard to think clearly, right? So if we're not thinking clearly, that means we're also might not be making good choices. And that also has an effect on everything then. So stress actually is one of the biggest contributors, absolutely. But again, still aging is the biggest contributor to the likelihood. But stress, because that affects how we eat, it affects whether we sleep or not. If you're really stressed, chances are you're not going to sleep very well, or you'll sleep too much because you can't deal with it. There's two ways for that to go, right? But it will definitely have an impact on your hormones. And that is a big thing. We actually cover that quite a bit in Bright Minds because hormonal deficiencies or overproduction of other hormones have a big impact. Yes. So stress, very important. And you took Tune Up Your Brain. So you know that that's a big thing we talk about in there, is to help you reduce stress.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm just going to go back to the live for a minute and see if there's anybody with questions there. I don't think so. So I'm going to close this. I like to respect everybody's time. We've done 20 minutes, and that's about what I like to do for the Facebook Lives. So thanks so much for joining me, Sally, and whoever's there on Facebook Live. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.